Hit it. Microphone check. Baby, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
You are now rocking with the best.
It's not some baby.
One time, still shining. Respect my grind.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
And this is
Another episode.
A Swingers
After Dark. What time is it? It's time to get live.
And this is your host. Not some baby.
Let's go, champ.
Welcome to Let's Talk Books with the One Essence. Tonight we have the honor of having a discussion with the author of I Hate My Job. That's Mr. King Dakir. And a short bio from his book is King Dakir was born and raised in Chicago and now resides in New York City. He keeps his sanity by reading, writing, traveling, and working out in the gym while residing in the Big Apple. After graduating with a bachelor's degree of art in journalism, he sharpens his writing through lyrics and blogging during his spare time. King is also happily single and currently enjoys the life of a bachelor, but doesn't rule out the possibility of settling down with the queen to accompany him on the throne. Welcome to Let's Talk Books, King Dakir. How are you this evening?
Peace. I'm crazy. I'm on a grustle right now, grind hustle.
Always, right? Always. That's the only way to be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you came on the show tonight. I know I've been after you for a little bit to get on the show, and you've been booked for quite some time, and I'm glad you were able to accommodate me in your busy schedule.
No doubt. So, likewise.
Now, you've got a number of things going on right now, but first I want to talk about your book, I Hate My Job. Without reading the back of the book, the first thing that catches the reader's eye in the bookstore or online is the cover. And I think the cover, from reading the book, the cover might be a bit deceiving. Would you tell us give us a brief synopsis of the book, please?
Well, it's about a young man striving to find himself in society. He's destined for greatness, but people who know they're destined for greatness, sometimes they too complacent or too comfortable at a certain place, so they gotta find it within themselves to get out of that comfort zone and strive for their visions instead of waiting around looking for handouts and whatnot.
Oh, yes. Okay. I read your book a couple months ago. I had the privilege of meeting you in Atlanta at the WAG Fest networking event, and we exchanged books, and I was captivated with your main character from the beginning. The first chapter was a powerful introduction to your character, and it talks of his relationship with his mom, and that came to a very tragic end. What I'd like to know is there a little bit of yourself in this book? I mean, most authors, even though they may write a fiction novel, they tend to put a bit of their own life experiences. What was the catalyst or the muse, I should say, for your main character in this book?
I used to work at a shoe store, so I use my experience as a shoe store with some imagination as my backdrop, as how I wanted to write the story. So Justice, he graduated from college. Justice is the main character. He graduated from college, and now he's working in retail, the shoe store. So, I weave my experiences and made up some experiences. So I'm not going to tell you what's real and what's fiction to protect the guilty.
Oh, no, I'm not going to ask that. No, I'm not going to ask that. I just was playing devil's advocate a little bit and trying to find out if there were, in fact. It always sparks the reader's interest to know that even though you're not revealing what part of you, real reality is in your fiction book, that there is a part of reality in that book.
They think it's me, though. They think Justice, I'm Justice. I'm not Justice.
Well, you know, that comes with the territory, because I've written a few things, and in fact, my last one that I wrote, I was deluded with emails saying, okay, which one of these females are you in the book? And so that comes with the territory when you write fiction, because, like I said, your readers automatically assume that there's a part of you in that book other than the book what's in print. And so I was just wondering if it was true with I Hate My Job. Now, the title is deceiving, because it really, even though, you know, a lot of events focus around the justice's job, it's really about his life outside of work. Mm-hmm. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, because job can mean anything. If you look job, if you break down J-O-B, you could break it down as just over broke. You could be just over broke mentally, financially, spiritually, sensually, sexually, romantically, or whatever. So it just represents life. I just use I hate my job as a metaphor of the obstacles that people go through every day and what they need to do to be triumphant over those obstacles.
Okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean your job per se.
Okay. Just for those of you listening in, if you have questions for King Dakir, the call-in number is 1-877-514-5454. Feel free to call in at any time during the show. Now, I do have a bone to pick with you in this book, okay? And for the record, for the readers listening, this book was written well before King Dakir met me, but he does have a character in the book whose name is Essence. You know, my pen name is the one Essence, but it is not me. Just so you don't get any emails after you read the book, it's not me. But I do have a bone to pick with you. Mm-hmm. We are both Midwest babies, born and raised in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. And you made a comment in your book about someone looking as broke as a Milwaukee pimp. Wait a minute now. Come on. You can't do no Milwaukee bashing. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. We both
Actually, I was gonna put gay Milwaukee pimp, but I didn't want to be, you know, I didn't want to offend anybody, so I just put broke Milwaukee pimp. Actually, it was a joke. Somebody was playing the dozens. Actually, somebody was playing the dozens on somebody, roasting somebody. He said, "Yo, you look like a gay Milwaukee pimp." So I just said broke Milwaukee pimp. So hey, I was being I strive to be politically correct, so.
I appreciate you being politically correct, but, you know, why you have to put Milwaukee in there like that?
Listen. I got love for my north of the border folk. So I know about Snooki and all that, so.
Okay. Moving right along. Now, you are a very educated young man, and you majored in journalism. What made you want to write a book? What got you started just writing this particular novel? Those are two separate questions. Let's start with the first one. What made you want to write a book? Yeah.
What made me want to write a book, because it was people who were writing books who I felt who were less talented than me, to be quite frank. So I'm thinking to myself, I went to school for this. First of all, I went to school for this. Second of all, I've been writing for years. And third of all, I have something to bring forth to the table. So, okay, it's objective, but at the same time, it's kind of like if you watching American Idol and you a singer and you like, yo, I can't believe that person blew up. You're not necessarily hating.
Right.
But see, I could have easily hated and been on the sideline instead of getting in the game. So I got in the game.
True. You don't want to hate. You don't want to hate. Period. You don't want to hate. Period. You definitely don't want to be a sideline hater.
Yeah. So I translated that distraught. So you see all this getting six-figure book deals and all the critical accolades and this, that, and that. I said, I got to get in the game. Because at the time, I was MCing, I was rapping. And I was writing short stories before I was rapping.
Okay.
So I read interviews. I read interviews of authors. They wrote books in prison. They said they didn't have any formal training. They just started writing and they was getting deals and they was getting critical accolades. So I'm like, if they could get book deals in prison and they could do this, then a third, why I'm wasting my abilities as a writer?
Okay.
I already had a background in writing stories, so then that's when I let the pen go. And the original title wasn't I Hate the intent wasn't I Hate My Job. It was gonna be about a woman personified as hip hop. But I thought that was too niche. Yeah, not too complex. It was too niche. Like, if that's a word, it was too. It kind of alienated a lot of people. So I scratched that, and one thing led to another. I thought about my experiences in Harlem. Then I just jotted it down, just let the pen. I freestyle. When I write a story, I freestyle it first. I just write whatever. I tell aspiring authors, don't worry about formatting your page. Just write whatever. Then when you find your plot, your subplot, and when you find your purpose of the story, then you go back and do your character sketches, your character developments. This, then a third.
Okay.
You know, so that's my writing schedule, how I do things, technique, so to speak.
Okay. I feel you on that one. I myself, I can't, I work from an outline because when I start writing, I have the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story, and I got to fill in the blanks, so I have to do an outline first. Everyone has a different style of breaking it down and putting it in print. So, back to I Hate My Job. You are currently available for book signings and author tours. Tell everybody where they can find out a little bit more about you, read a little bit more about you if they become interested in you as an author and your book, wanting to purchase your book. Where can they find it?
Oh, they can go on Amazon.com. They could go on www.kane.kill.com. I suggest them get the book from my site instead of Amazon. But you know how people are. They want to go to Amazon. So I put it on Amazon. You know how people is. On Amazon, like, they give you credentials based on what they see on other places or from word of mouth. So you got to do what you got to do. Well, you can basically go to my website. You can learn about the book, about me, and you'll know that I'm serious. And my book is basically one of the greatest works that was ever written.
Okay.
Basically, Kane Kid is the greatest novelist that you do not know.
Okay.
And my work speaks for itself.
Yeah, I feel you what you were saying about the Amazon.com. We as human beings are flawed in the fact that if we can't find it in a certain place, or it's got to be in Barnes and Nobles, it's got to be this. Instead of going to the black bookstore down the street, we'd rather go give the profits and keep the profits to Amazon.com instead of giving it straight back to the author. And that's the purpose. That's one thing I'm really, really, really committed to, is making sure the author is getting the complete profit for their hard work. So if it's available directly from the author, that's where we as a community should be buying the book from, and not Amazon.com, because Amazon.com is taking a huge cut unless you're signed with a major publishing house.
And you know what's crazy? Well, I'm not to cut you off, but you know what's crazy? People say, I get, is your book at a bookstore, or I get it at the bookstore? Is it at Amazon? Where can I? I'm like, why would you go to the major change or any other store, or go to Amazon or whatever the case may be, when you get it straight from the author?
Absolutely.
It's like they got the massive. Yeah, they got the massive ISIS codeman syndrome, you know. So massive ISIS coder. Yeah. I get frostbite from his eyes. I get hot ice. Yeah, so.
I feel you on that. It's like this bypass the middleman and remember to keep the money in the community and let the author enjoy his profits instead of the publishing houses and the huge bookstores that are, charging the author an arm and a leg to sell their book on your website. And go straight to the author and get it. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's next? You're working on another novel. Give us a sneak preview on your new novel.
Well, I'm working on a mixed ebook. A mixed ebook is basically like you know how rappers, they have mixtapes.
Okay.
So mixtapes is like a promotional item, like random songs that didn't make the past albums or songs that's not going to make the future album. It's basically used as a promotional tool. It's like an appetizer. So as me being an MC and was heavy in the music business, I applied that school of thought into literature. So the name of my next project is the e-mix book. It's called Beatboxing with Jesus. And it's 12 short stories. And I have 12 short stories, everything from science fiction, erotica, street fiction, thriller. I'm showing my versatility. I'm basically getting it in. And it should be done. It should be out by the summer, early summer. If you go to my website and register as a member, you'll get a free copy because it's free. So I'm letting you know.
For the listeners, that website is www.kindhakier.com. Go ahead, register for the website, get your free ebook. You don't hear that very often. Authors putting their work out there free. You have a chance to go to the website, not Amazon.com, and get it free.
Yes. Yeah, so like www.kindhakier.com and just register to get that e-mix book because I write things from different angles. Like as an MC, I used to write rhymes from a different angle. Like, for example, you know how Nas came out with a song called I Gave You Power? It was the song was about him rapping from the perspective of a gun. So that's creative. So therefore, okay, I'm not a street fiction writer. So I sat back and I said, okay, let me see what I could do differently. Because people were saying, well, authors not coming out with different stories, not necessarily pertaining to that genre, but in general. So I was like, I sat back and I was like, I want to write a story from the perspective of the actual drug. So I'm writing a story. It's in Beatboxing with Jesus as well. It's called The Pastor Was a Hustler. So I'm writing from the perspective of the drug, like whether it's cocaine, heroin, crack, whatever, and it's kind of like a psychedelic erotica thriller. Because even though I'm writing from the perspective of the drug, it's as if I'm seducing the woman or I'm seducing the neighborhood, and I really get into the psychoanalysis of what the effects of what drugs would do to somebody. And I did some research, and that's what I came up with.
You did?
Yeah, you gotta do. Yeah, you gotta do research, like the effects
I'm interested to hear what kind of research you did that put you in the mind frame of a drug.
Well, like the effects of the drugs, like put you in a state of euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to give away what I actually wrote.
Well, no, we don't want you to give it away.
Yeah. So it said, okay, put you in a state of euphoria. You have dry mouth. You start to speed. You want another high. So I looked up the symptoms and the reactions, and then I just let my imagination take off from there. And also, at one point, in Chicago, I used to live in in public housing, Cabrini Green Housing Project. So I've seen what drugs have done to people. So even though I haven't experienced it firsthand, I could write from a secondhand account and make it feel authentic. So that's the ability of a writer to tap your energies into the energy of another person and write it accurately. So when people read it, they can say, yo, this is real. So that's showing. So I'm showing you another facet of my writing ability that I could write from not only from different angles and also in different genres.
Okay. So you're
it's about being creative.
It is. It's about expressing your creativity. That is true. Now, what I'd like to know is how a Chicago native. How long have you lived in New York?
Well, I'm back and forth. So as far as New York, it's 2001. To be honest with you, I've been in New York kind of longer than Chicago. I could write more so about New York than Chicago because the Chicago I grew up in, which is the 80s and 90s, is not the same Chicago of today.
Oh, no.
There's no more Cabrini Green. There's no more Rogers. The Rogers Park. I'm also from the Rogers Park neighborhood, and that's the neighborhood before you get to Evanston. That's the northernmost neighborhood in Chicago, and if you go to Rogers Park now, it's not the Rogers Park of the 90s. So it's kind of difficult. You know, I would have to live in Chicago for a while to write about it. Yeah, I could still drop jewels like the language, the lingo, and the food, and whatever the case may be, but I have to actually be there in order to get an accurate feel of what's going on today.
Okay, because my question was going to be, how were you able to so fully and explicitly capture, the street culture of, you are so descriptive in your book as far as what's going on, the smells, what the character, what Justice sees, so I was wondering how you were able to do that so accurately and so descriptively when you were from Chicago, but you explained that in saying that you spent more time in New York than in Chicago.
And plus I'm amongst the people. You got to be amongst the people. If you're an artist, you got to be amongst the people, or your views is going to be distorted. You got to go to the buses. You got to go to the subways. You got to just be amongst the people. And plus, you know what's funny? When I was first writing I Hate My Job, I used like a lot of Chicago lingo, like Midwest. In New York, they say man. In the Midwest, we say Maine. They say soda. We say pop. So one of my closest buddies, he said,
"Yo, pop thing is a Chicago thing because we don't say pop north of Chicago. We don't say pop."
See, y'all backwards. Y'all backwards like that.
Pop. We say soda. We don't fool with pop.
See, y'all backwards like that. See, Milwaukee, and you wonder why I was talking about Milwaukee in the book. But anyway,
that's all right. They do that thing in Milwaukee and Chicago. I can rap both. They do that thing in both places. And to be honest, it is like night and day. But you find that a lot of people in Chicago came from Milwaukee, and a lot of people in Milwaukee came from Chicago. Even though the cultures intertwine, but day-to-day life is like night and day.
Milwaukee. The only thing I know about Milwaukee is the beer. That's it. Milwaukee best.
That's a shame. And that's the cheapest beer in the market. That's
a shame.
But,
But yeah, he was like, but to go back to the lingo, he was like, yo, we don't talk like that in New York. So I had to go, so he was coaching me. Even though I've been living here for a while, back and forth from the Midwest to New York, he was like, we say this, we say that. This is known as this place is known as that. So he was coaching me. So it's sharing ideas. That's also people need to do, to share, to be around creative people as a muse. You feel me? So you could bounce ideas, yo, did you ever thought about writing about this? Yo, that would be dope. So it's like a creative force that you could bounce back and forth between your peoples, and that's what I'm doing.
That's true, because not every place that an author may want to delve in as far as their creativity, they've actually physically visited. So it helps if you know someone in that area, they can give you background for your book to make it more, real, make it more real to the reader, especially a reader that may be from that area. You want to make sure that reader knows exactly what you're talking about, especially. Now,
Yeah.
in a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and take a station break. But there is a subject I really want to talk to you about because I've been watching your blog quite a bit for the last 4 to 5 months. And I think you have something to say about what you've been seeing going on in the literary community. And when we come back from the station break, you and I'm gonna listen, and you're gonna sit down and tell the Harambe listeners what you've gotten and things about the literary community, both good and bad, that you've experienced since you've been out there on the grind. Okay?
No doubt.
Okay. So right now we're going to go to a station break. Remember, callers, if you have a question or a call for King Decor, which many of you may have after we start the next conversation, the call-in number again is 1-877-514-5454. We'll be right back with more King Decor and I Hate My Job. Welcome to Let's Talk Books with the One Essence. The first half hour we have spent talking to Brother King Decor, excuse me, I'm sorry, I need a drink of water. Decor and his book, I Hate My Job, and the research he did behind the book and things he put into the book. If you missed it, you can log on to HarambeRadio.com tomorrow morning and catch it on demand. We're going to continue with King Decor. I was informed, and not that I didn't already know. I'm not even going to say I forgot. I'm a little getting older now, and I misplaced some things, and I'm interviewing so many authors. I have to remember so many things. Brother King Decor won an award for Best New Male Writer last year. And can you tell us a little bit about the background of that award, King?
It was the Black Book Awards, and I won the Best New Male Writer, recognition of excellence in the literary genre at the 18th Annual Black Book Awards in Virginia.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was an award well deserved because I get it in and I transcend greatness between the lines of the paper, resurrect dead trees.
Okay. Well, I certainly enjoyed I Hate My Job. I enjoyed Justice's transformation, from a young man, even though he was not very young, when the story was.
Well, that's crazy. I was nervous because, a lot of women readers want to read about women. Because a lot of male authors, they make a point to use a female character as the protagonist, as the main character to draw women readers. So I was kind of nervous when I was writing a book. Not when I wrote the book, after I released the book, I wasn't sure if women readers was going to gravitate towards the book because the main character is a male. So when you say you enjoyed the book, that was kind of refreshing.
Well, I think that I enjoyed the book because if I hadn't enjoyed the book, you wouldn't be on the show. So I did.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I was kind of nervous because, I write what comes to mind, what comes to heart. I really don't cater to races. I don't cater to gender. I don't cater to sexes, whatever. So that's why I was kind of I wanted. If the women could feel it, 'cause I know the dudes could relate to a lot of the experiences that Justice goes through, and it seemed like that you could relate to certain instances as well. So that's good to hear.
Well, yeah, and the thing about me is I read everything. I don't read just fiction. I read nonfiction. I will read any kind of book. So I'm not just hooked on the mainstream type of book, woman down on her luck, meet rich man, live happily ever after type book, or, I like reading different kinds of books. And being a woman, I don't know what it's like to be a man, so it was refreshing to read a book written from a male perspective that didn't, wasn't about, all gang rushing and violence and all of that. It was a different type of book. I wouldn't classify it as street literature at all. I'm sure some have probably classified it as street literature because it has urban content, urban meaning black content, but it's not street literature at all. But I certainly enjoy the twists and turns and watching and reading about Justice's transformation from a boy, basically, and mentally to a man mentally.
I wonder if urban gonna mean black when all the black folks move out of the suburbs because of gentrification. So, you know, so like white people going back into the city and black folks going to the suburbs. So
suburban.
Yeah, 20 years from now. Yeah, 20 years from now, I want to see that. I want to see so urban. That's like a catchphrase for black, like a subliminal phrase for black. So
exactly. That's what it is. Yeah, and too, so is street lit. You know, you don't see a white author out there writing street lit. And I think I don't like all of these different classifications because I'm fine with fiction and nonfiction. I don't need to know if it's street lit or not personally.
Well, actually, people do.
If it classifies as street lit, it doesn't make it a better book.
But I get penalized at bookstores when I do underground. When I do signings at bookstores, I'm actually penalized because it's not street fiction. See, my supporters are people who will read anything. They're like the freelance readers. I just want to read anything. But let somebody who loves street fiction or erotica or whatever. I'm basically Casper the Ghost. They go to the books they want, and you know it's part of the game. So I'm actually penalized because this lady, she actually bought my book, but she wasn't gonna read it because she's into her book. She was gonna give it to her friend. So at least she's supportive. Yeah, so I was like, I said it's not a real book. And at the same time, it's still entertaining and it's still exciting. Just because it's not a real book.
It still gives you insight as a female into the mind of a male that you can't possibly understand. I mean, I don't care how many women stand up and say, I know. If you've never been a man, you don't know. So it's interesting in that fact to get inside the head of a man and know what he's thinking about this particular female and why he's thinking that and making that decision that he made not to be with her or to be with her. So, you know, it's not what's typically classified as street lit, but it's still an interesting read and it's still an entertaining read. I don't like all those classifications anyway. And a lot of authors are writing those kinds of stories because they sell so quickly. And that doesn't mean they're writing a quality story. They're just writing and those catchy phrase titles and those sexy covers to catch your eye and get your money, but you may not be getting a quality book. So it's a catch-22 all the way around. You have to take your chances, but
it's for the people. It's for the people to wake up. You know, it's not necessarily. The genre is not good or bad. It's the writers. It's the writers in a particular genre.
It's not the genre, it's the writers. And right now the market is flooded with what
But people don't want to do anything differently because it's like in high school. Everybody want to wear or dress alike. It's like dudes wearing their pants. It's like dudes sagging their jeans and they don't know why they doing it. They're just doing it because it's style. Yeah, they don't know the history behind it, and the same thing is writing. I could have easily wrote an erotica or a street fiction joint and got on the bandwagon, but that's not my pedigree. I want to go against the grain. People don't understand. What kills me that people don't understand that there was at one time the publishers weren't looking at street fiction urban writers. They had to create their own market by grinding and hustling. And I say there's a lot to us, the contemporary writers or the people who do not write street fiction. I say, look, you have to go out there and get on your grind, on your ground hustle, because the days of sitting behind your computer and expecting your book to sell by itself are over. You have to get out. So
you got to get out in the street. Especially if you want a street lit book, you got to get out there and hustle it. You know, and if you're not a well-known author, you know, no matter what you've written, you've got to get out there and hustle it. If you decided to self-publish to maintain all the rights to your book and not be like, I know you put up a posting a couple weeks ago, I think it was, about Donald's going to state, that he had it written in his contract that he made, like 25 cents off every book, and it could never be altered. It was 12 cents off every book, and it can never be altered. As many books as that man sold, he makes what his estate still today only makes 12 cents a book.
It's written in stone.
That's incredible. It's incredible. So a lot of new authors have chosen to self-publish, not because the quality of their work is not up to par, but because they want to keep their rights and their money.
Yeah.
They put their blood, sweat, and tears in it, and they want to keep hold of it. But there's a question I want to get to, and it's important because I feel like you've been talking about it quite a bit, and you've had some experience since you've been in the literary world, both good and bad, that you have something to speak on. Mm-hmm. And I want to let you go ahead and speak on it.
Well, see, there's a lot of good and bad. You got to break it down.
Oh, I got to break it down.
Yeah, you got to break it down.
What has been your experience at book signings when you're frequently at book signings and your interaction with other authors? How have those gone?
Well, the other authors, I really don't socialize with other authors. You know, not to say that I want to ostracize myself from other authors. I just haven't had the time to speak with other authors with the exception of the internet. And it's a struggle because, first of all, I'm a new author, and a lot of the market where I do my book signings at is not necessarily, it's kind of centered around one genre, and that's been street and urban. So I got to use my gift of gab to say, yo, I'm King Kid. My book is I Hate My Job, blah, 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 whatever comes to mind, to pitch my book. So it's fun, you know. It's basically like a game. It's basically a game to see how many books you can sell at a book signing. You get your table outside the bookstore and just get on your gristle. Okay. And as far as the industry, well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, as far as the industry, I think that more emphasis should be placed on the techniques of writing instead of always talking about making money and marketing your book, this, that, or third. Before you get to that part, you got to make sure your work is solid. Because if you go to my website, I got this thing called writing lessons.
Okay.
The writing lessons is basically some tricks that you could use. Some tricks that you could use in your story. For example, instead of writing a long, drawn-out description about a room, you could place the description within the dialogue and within the action. So it's like you could weave the description of a place in between the action instead of just using two or three paragraphs to describe something and sew up the flow of the novel. Mm-hmm. You feel me?
I feel you.
So I speak about I'm really a technical creative writer. I'm a creative writer before a businessman. I had to train myself to be a businessman. You know, it's like a lot of people is the other way around, who were hustlers and who became writers. I'm a writer who became a hustler. Because you can have the greatest work known to man, but if it's not out there, then people ain't gonna know who you are. So you gotta be proactive. And your grind. Okay. So I could write about your shoestrings and make it interesting. If you say, yo, King, write about this, I could write about this and make it interesting because that's my seed, that's my rapping background. It's like if me and my man be walking down the street and we freestyling, they say, yo, rap about that right there. They say, rap about that right there. And then I bust a freestyle rapping about a grape. Or they say, yo, rap about them stairs. Or rap about them shoes. Or rap about that girl right there. Or like if we rapping and they just do like a word association, just toss me a word, then I rap about it. So that goes back to my rapping, my MCing background. And beatboxing with Jesus, a lot of the stories, it got like a rhyme technique. I wrote it in rhyme. So that's gonna be dope. I wrote it in rhyme. Like some of the passages, and I Hate My Job is written in rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Like in one passage in one passage of I Hate My Job, I said, the test of faith only made them more cynical, as ghetto scholars only biblical quote was, "In God we trust on dollars." See? So I'm gonna, my next book after the ebook is called Crack Mirrors Are Good Luck, and the whole book's gonna rhyme. It's 5 short stories weaved together, and the whole book is gonna rhyme, like 300 pages. The whole thing is gonna be like a rhyme scheme, like a long rap song, but it's gonna be structured in story form, like in novel form. And people say, well, how you gonna do that? Is it hard? I said, no, it's not hard. Actually, it's easy. First of all, I have a background in rhyming. Second of all, I have a long vocabulary, and I could do that, because I'm king.
Okay.
Yeah, so no other explanation. People do not underestimate a sleeping giant. I tell people, I say, you might could sell more books than me, but I could write a short story that will crush your whole catalog, and that's not me being arrogant, that's me knowing my capabilities. You feel me?
Okay. Yes, I feel you.
See, you get me started now. See, you got me because I'm passionate. You gotta understand. I'm passionate about my work. I'm passionate about my art. See, I have tunnel vision. See, I don't study. I don't pay attention to the industry. I pay attention to the industry, but not the people, because I'm in my own orbit. You feel me? I don't pay attention to the gossip, the rumors, because not for nothing. Truth be told, the book industry is just as cutthroat as the rap game, and in some instances, the streets. So that's why I keep to myself and I focus on my art, because I'm a very awful person. And when you read I Hate My Job, you're gonna breathe the city. You're gonna feel how it's like to be at a job that you hate. It's like you feel like that you enslaved. You feel like you trapped. You got invisible chains around you, sitting at your desk, or you are working in cash registers, or you in a department store. You feel like you're about to vomit. You really want to scream. You feel like you're in a padded room. So I make you feel the struggle, taste the struggle, and the ways I give you steps and story forms to get out that struggle so you could go after your vision. I'm not going to say dream because you dream when you sleep. You vision because you're conscious when you vision. So that's what I Hate My Job is about, and that's why I give food for thought. In between that, you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to smile, you're going to get horny, because I got some erotica in that too, so it's about my versatility. I'm a versatile writer. If I put my mind into it, and with the right research, I could write about anything.
Well, all right. That's my confidence right there. That's true, huh?
Yeah, because I know I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not just lollygagging. I'm not lollygagging about it. It saddens me when people say I'm a hustler, I'm not a writer. But then they want to get mad when people criticize them. But how can you get mad? That's like you getting mad at me because I don't want you to work on my teeth when you says I'm not a dentist, I'm a hustler. You feel me?
I understand.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. So I just got to do me. I can't study anybody else. I just got to do me. And make sure I bring.
You've had positive. Your experiences have been basically positive because you've made them positive.
Yeah, of course.
What's going on around you? You just
Yeah, it's like high school. It's like college. It's like being in the workplace. You got to maintain. See, you are what you think. When you think positively, you going to be positive. If you think you ugly, you going to be ugly. When you think you're beautiful and handsome, you going to be beautiful and handsome because the body follows the mind. You may see when you think of something, it may subconsciously attract to you. If you think you ugly, you feeling ugly and people ain't gonna take you seriously. When you walk like a lion, you're gonna be treated as royalty. You gotta carry yourself as a lion and lioness. The lion is not the biggest, the strongest, the smartest animal in the animal kingdom, but it's the most respected because how the way the lion and the lioness carry themselves. So it's the same thing whether the book industry is outside the industry. You got to carry yourself as royalty because you never know who's listening to you and you never know who's watching you because there's people watching that you don't even know they watching. Like, people told me, yeah, people said, yo, King, I seen this and that. I'm like, yo, how you know? Yo, King, I seen you. I seen you there. Yo, I saw you right there. Yo, I heard about your pussy. You
Well,
never know.
Since folks seeing you all over the place, what's next for King? What do you have? What events do you have coming up in the near future?
I'm putting together, me and my people, putting together a book tour for the spring. Getting out there and hitting. I'm striving to be in Detroit, Chicago, Charlotte.
For what I heard, you're supposed to be in Richmond next month. What? You know what?
Richmond? Who told you about Richmond?
You told me. Aren't you supposed to be at the? In fact, we had Nakia Smithers on last week at the thing in Richmond next month, the Authors Pavilion.
You know what? No. Yo, my thing, that's cool. That's cool. However, I'm not, what's that word I'm looking for? I'm fluid. I'm fluid, because not for nothing, I don't like to do events with other authors. Because I don't want to feel like I'm competing.
The book tour you're talking about going on is just you. Is it?
Yeah, it's just me.
Okay.
It's just me, because I don't feel like, first of all, there's a recession and people gonna buy what they know, and then I'm competing with mad people. So you factor in the plane cost or the train cost or the car fare, then the food, then the hotel, this, that, and the third. I don't want to lose money. I want to at least break even. So the only time I do like an author's pavilion or something like a book fair is when my name is up there. You feel me? Because
I hear what you're talking about.
But people on the other side, people say, well, you could get more fans and more exposure. I'm like, there's other ways to skin. There's more ways to skin a cat.
Okay.
You feel me?
Okay. Well, I misspoke, listeners. I misspoke. It was not my intention to misspeak. I was unaware that you had changed your mind about the Authors Pavilion. But you do have the book tour coming up for the spring.
Yeah, just go to my
major cities.
Yeah, just go to my website, king.kir.com, KINGDHAKIR.com. My photos, my book signing photos from past, and the infamous photo of me and you. And
you didn't have to put that one out there.
Yeah, and about updates about my book signings and whatnot, because I'm here for greatness. People was here for a purpose, and I know what my purpose is.
Well, you gotta walk before you run, and you gotta crawl before you walk, and you are on your way. I've read I Hate My Book, and I think it's an amazing book. It's an amazing read. And it's a good, clean, fun read. It's not, you don't have to sit there and sweat through the read and wince when there's a curse word. It's a good, fun read. So I suggest, go to, not, if you gotta go to Amazon.com, okay, you gotta go. But you can buy the book from King Dakur himself if you go to his website. Keep the money in the community. That is what we have to do in order to make the community thrive.
Yeah.
And King, it's been great having you on. When your new novel drops this summer, I really want to have you back on after I read it, of course.
Ain't you signed into my website? You a member? Yeah, you are a member.
I'm a member.
Yeah, so you're gonna
when I support somebody all the way. I'm a member, and I'm waiting for my free copy of Boxing with Jesus. But when your book drops, what I'm saying is I want you to come back on the show, and we can have a talk about your new book. That's what I'm doing.
And I'm gonna break it down what I'm doing and give you an update. What King Dakur the Great is doing.
Okay.
Because I'm ready to speak.
I thank you for coming on. Let's Talk Books with the One Essence. I've enjoyed your conversation. I've enjoyed it tremendously, and I look forward to having you back. Next up on Harambe Radio from 10 to 11, we have Reverend Phil Bennett Valentine, which is always an informational show. You want to tune in for that. And following him is Brother Delania Amon with Transformations Plus. You have been listening to a conversation with King Dakur, author of I Hate My Job. Have a wonderful week, listeners, and we'll see you next week.
Peace to everybody.